You guys are in for a big one today. Let's talk about if new graduate psych NPs should start private practices. So I have a lot of thoughts on this, so buckle up. And if you're wondering, why do I have any credibility to speak on this? If you don't know me, my name's Alysha. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner and I own my own private practice, and I have helped over 130 psych NPs open private practices of their own to help find freedom and balance in their lives. So I've worked with a lot of people from a lot of walks of life and a lot of experience, and I've seen how opening their practices go. When I'm opening this conversation, I always want to start with not all new grads are created equal. We might be talking about a new grad psych NP who's already managed mental health conditions as an FNP. We might be talking about a new grad psych NP who has never worked in psychiatry but has worked in another specialty with varying degrees of psych involvement in that. There's just so much that we could be talking about. Okay, so you as the new grad need to really think about, what are my needs as a new grad and what type of new grad am I? So let me tell you about how I was personally as a new grad. I was a very anxious new grad. I had a lot of psych experience as an RN, but that was my first NP degree, right? So I was very anxious about writing prescriptions, very nervous to mess up. I really wanted a team, and so I joined a team of about 6 other clinicians, mix of psychiatrists, or mostly psychiatrists, one other psych NP. And so I don't think that it would have been the right move for me. I just had so much anxiety and I was just like not in the mental health space that I am now. I feel like I'm a lot more gentle with myself nowadays than I was before. I was really hard on myself and really kind of struggling in that area of trying to be perfect. And I think I would have just been struggled so much mental health wise opening a business of my own as a new grad. So, but then once I gained a little bit of experience, after a year and a half, I was like, this job is not right for me. And I opened a private practice of my own. So I was not super experienced either, but it worked great once I got a little bit of experience under my belt. Okay. But not every new grad, like if I would have been more gentle with myself and said, you know what, I'm going to use my resources, build out my support, like I'm going to explain later in the video, then things might have been a little bit different. So you just have to think of where you're at mental health wise and what's good for you as a new grad. So that's the first thing, okay? The second thing is you have to consider support. A lot of people say you shouldn't open a practice as a new grad. You need to have experience first. That assumes that the experience is supportive or that experience is somehow better, right? So what I hear from a lot of new grads, unfortunately, is imagine this. It's their first day of work and they have 20 patients and their collaborator, they're in a restrictive state, but their collaborator is nowhere to be found. Or they're not in a restrictive state and all of their team works telehealth, they're alone, their boss doesn't really answer their phone, right? So there's jobs that everyone's saying, oh, you need experience, you need experience. You might be going into a job that's less supportive than a private practice could be, okay? So this is assuming, when you say a new grad needs experience, you are assuming that the experience is supportive and the private practice is not, okay? So I'm going to tell you how a private practice can be supportive for a new grad and how it is possible, in my opinion, as a new grad, okay? So first, know thyself, right? Know what you might need. Second, if you decide to start a private practice of your own, then make sure you build in support. Okay, so let me tell you what that option could be. One option could be that you start a job at the same time you open your private practice and you have the support of a job. And by the time it takes 6 months to even open your practice. So by the time you even open, you have 6 months of experience at your job. And you also have the support of the people at your job, right? And so you're still technically starting a practice as a new grad, but you also have that team over there that ideally is a good team, and you have some experience under your belt, and you're not even seeing a bunch of patients on day one. Okay, that's one possibility. The other thing is, say you don't get a job and you start a private practice straight out, okay? Let me tell you how this can be possible and how I've seen it work. So if someone feels, you know what, Maybe I have another specialty that I've done already. Maybe I feel more confident as a new grad or confident in using my resources, or there's no jobs in my area at all. I've seen this too, where you have to make your own job, which is like, what do you expect someone to do if they have to make their own job, right? Then they got to do that. So there's a number of reasons, and I don't ask, I don't judge. I just say, if you have decided to start a private practice as a new grad, I don't need to know why. All I need to know is that you want to do it, and I can describe to you what a scenario might look like where you could do it. So one is going to be support. I've said support a lot in this video, and I think as a new grad, you can build in the support that you desire into your private practice, okay? So you should have, and I teach this in my mentorship program. If you want to hear more about my mentorship program on how to start a private practice as a Psych NP, the details are in the caption. But you're going to want to have the support of a lawyer, of an accountant, of a tax preparer. And then you're, as a new grad, and even not as a new grad, I think this is great anyway for anyone, you're going to want some clinical support, okay? If you're in a restrictive state, I highly recommend that you hire a very supportive collaborator. Okay, so you're going to want someone that's actually going to go through cases with you, actually answer the phone when you call, actually answer your texts. And so then you would have a lot of clinical support, maybe even more clinical support than you would have at a job. If you're not in a restrictive state, you could still hire a collaborator. There's nothing that says you can't. Another thing is you could join a case consultation group, or a group where you are reviewing cases, or a place where you can ask questions, or a case where there's other Psych NPs. And I'm not saying like a Facebook group, I mean a formal group, because a Facebook group, anyone could say anything, right? A more formal group is curated, and there's lots of them, and many that are very good. The one that I'm familiar with is the one that I'm a part of and a co-mentor in, and that's the Liftoff program that's done by Kirby Williams. She's an amazing Psych NP with over 10 years experience. I'll put the details for that group down below. I'm not saying that you have to join my groups or the groups that I'm familiar with. I'm just saying these are options. But regardless, have some type of clinical support. Okay, and then I'm going to recommend that you take low acuity patients and start slow. Okay, so now let me repaint these two pictures for you. And this may change your mind about saying no new grad should ever start a private practice. Okay, picture number one, you start your first job, 20 patients, stress, no collaborator or support to be found. Starting a private practice with support, with a case consult group, with people to ask your questions of, starting slow, not taking a ton of, just any patient that calls, starting slow, and filtering through patient requests and only accepting patients that are lower acuity. And this is not to judge anybody, anything, but I just think that it's more clinically appropriate for a new grad to take uncomplicated patients to start out. Also, this doesn't even have to be a new grad. You starting your own private practice, even with experience, you may want to take lower acuity patients in the beginning because you're learning how to be a business owner, okay? A lot of these things can apply even if you have experience. I just think it's really helpful for new grads. So how do I know all of this? This is because I have helped over 130 Psych NPs throughout different places in their private practice starting journey through my mentorship program, and some of them are new grads. And I have seen these trends where someone comes to me and says, I need help starting a private practice, I'm a new grad, and we go, how could we build out something that is equivalent to an ideal job? And this is how I've done it. And the reason that I know is that there are several successful new graduates that I've helped start private practices, okay, all around the US. If you want to hear more specific stories, I highly recommend that you listen to my webinar or my masterclass. You will be able to find that if you go to the link down below that talks more about getting involved in my mentorship program. I go through specific testimonials and specific people who have started private practices. Some of them are new grads, some of them are not. And so I hope that this was helpful for you. If you're a new grad watching this, I think that it's really sad that people are discouraging other people from doing what they want without even knowing them. And so I hope that this knowledge empowers you. I'm not saying whether a new grad should start a private practice or shouldn't start a private practice, just if a new grad chooses to start a private practice, some of the steps that can help. But I'm not really on either stance. I just know from experience what things can help. So I hope that this video was helpful. Comment below if you have any further questions for me. If you like this video, it really helps my channel if you like and subscribe so that I can continue to be supported to do this for you guys. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.